We just got a letter from a viewer who wanted me to send him a link to a video we did. He said, I was telling my friend about one of your videos about the teacher who was complaining about conditions in the classroom. She said she didn't believe it. She wanted to see it herself. You know, that teacher with all the awards? Well, I think this person was talking about that story we did out of Green Bay, where a teacher of the year stood up there for about 15 minutes and talked about the unbelievably chaotic and dangerous and violent conditions in their schools and how she'd had enough, she was going to quit. By the way, when I did that video, that's one of the videos that got me kicked off of YouTube. Anyway, I heard from a lot of teachers and a lot of parents in that school district in Green Bay. They told me something that I already knew, that the teachers are talking about the fellas and their lovely ladies raging and rampaging out of control in schools. Nobody's learning anything. But that's, so if you want to find that video, just Google Colin Flaherty, Green Bay teacher. It'll probably show up on YouTube. Go to YouTube, because a lot of people are posting my videos over on YouTube. Or Google Colin Flaherty teacher, violence, something like that. Easy to find over there. But when we think about teachers quitting, the teachers speaking out, I mean, so many stories come to mind. I think of the teachers in Baltimore speaking out. I think of the TV station in Baltimore that did a several-night series about all the teachers under assault. I'm thinking of the one teacher, he's cowering in a dark room. He's got PTSD. He's afraid to go back to school because of the enormous amount of violence directed at him by the fellas in Baltimore schools. I'm thinking ditto of the teachers in St. Louis, where the teachers there are talking about how the lovely ladies would take their perfume and spray it in the teachers' eyes as if it were mace. Thinking of the teachers in Philadelphia that are under constant violent attack. In Philly, it came from the Union. Same in Milwaukee. Same in Baltimore. Same in St. Louis. Same in Memphis. Same in New Orleans. You ready for a magical mystery tour? This would take hours hours to talk about all the teachers under threats of violence and violence every year. Thousands of teachers every year are objects of violence in our classroom, and guess what? It's a black thing. And the only solution that lots of people have is, well, let's get rid of the white teachers and put in some black teachers. That's the magic bullet. That's the magic bullet for getting the black students to behave, getting the black students to learn, getting the black students to actually have skills when they get out of high school so they can get a J-O-B. I'm not a big fan of magic bullets. Maybe this video from Memphis will remind you why.
And we start with WMC Action News 5 investigator Jason Miles live with disturbing claims from a teacher. Jason?
Well, this teacher shocked those listening to her allegations here at the school board, including one episode involving two students, a fight, and a broken calculator.
I had a student take a calculator and beat another student upside the head, broke the calculator, was not suspended.
Math teacher Danita Martin's tales of school terror prompted gasps from this crowd.
Another student got the scissors and started making a stabbing motion. When I went to administration, they said, well, he was already suspended earlier today. What am I supposed to do?
Martin told members of the Shelby County School Board that student behavior at Grandview Heights Middle is at an all-time low.
I'm called by my students gay, lesbian, dyke, sir, and my favorite, white girl.
She cited the ongoing verbal assaults as primary reasons for her pending resignation.
Students tell me, who the F-bomb do you think you're speaking to? And shut the F up talking to me. But they go unpunished.
When the teachers try to control them, they even irate with the teachers.
Parent Latrina Robinson came up to us during dismissal Wednesday to offer her account on the state of students here.
They shouldn't have to come to school and be worried about being picked on and teased on and all that. And then they come up here and be like they just got it under control, and they don't. They can't control these kids.
She said she's moving her son out of the school as soon as possible, following the lead of at least one teacher. And take a look at this. This is a statement Shelby County Schools issued in response to Ms. Martin's claims. It reads, quote, "The allegations made last night were very serious and we will need to investigate before we can provide an official response.
We'll stay up worried tonight, not because of the weather, but because of what will happen tomorrow.
Inside the classroom, we're about to show you the numbers that you really don't want to see.
You know, when it comes to our schools, we are quick to tell you how students are victims of bullying, fights, even guns.
But in the past 5 years, an average of 4 school personnel in Baltimore City schools is the target of an assault. That's 4 a day.
ABC 2 News investigator Brian Kubler peels back that number and shows us a problem. Many school security experts say it's a very real issue. We're not talking about it until tonight.
We first showed you this video back in November. Students at Digital Harbor High School in Federal Hill taunting, bullying, assaulting a substitute teacher at the front of the classroom. Taken with a student's cell phone, this video pulls back the curtain on an issue many simply don't want or won't talk about.
Tremendous amount of stress and anxiety, you know, trying to come up. It's like literally I have to force myself out the door.
Baltimore City school teacher Jeffrey Slattery wants to talk about it because he still literally feels it. It was December 2010 at Baltimore Community High School on the east side when he stopped a student without a hall pass. The student got physical and Slattery let him go.
He walked down the hallway, I turned around to go back to my classroom, he came up from behind me. And you know, once I was on the ground and, you know, he's basically standing on top of me and he struck me multiple times. When my jaw broke, I went unconscious and I really don't remember anything after that.
He would later learn it took 4 teachers to pull that student off him. Slattery broke his jaw, wired shut for weeks. He pressed charges and the student was convicted. Slattery's assault by a student was just one of 700 that school year in Baltimore City Public Schools, where its own data shows an average of 4 school personnel were assaulted each day in 2010. That average holds true through the past 5 school years, with a total of nearly 4,000 assaults by students on personnel, with noticeable increases in the last 2 years. Broken down by grade level, it's evident 7th, 8th, and 9th graders commit the assaults more often.
Do those numbers shock you?
No. As a matter of fact, I'm very surprised that they're that low.
Marietta English is the president of the Teachers Union in Baltimore City. It was after this attack on city art teacher Jolita Berry in 2008 when assaults by students raced to the top of mind for most educators. The story went national, fueled by this video posted to MySpace back then. It was the impetus for the union to start keeping its own records by imploring teachers to fill out this form reporting abuse, documentation to lobby for more support to stem this violent tide.
They should not come to work fearing that they're going to be attacked. They should not come to work feeling that they're going to be verbally abused. This is not what we should be coming to work and have to face on a daily basis.
The reality of it is they do, though.
That's the reality of it. Unfortunately, yes.
Now, it's very important to note that City Schools defines an assault as the act of simply touching any school personnel. But as we've shown you, some of the instances can be quite severe. Either way, the administration says any case of this is totally unacceptable and launched a program just last year to turn these stats upside down.
We're faced with children right now who have problems that are none that you could really even imagine. And to treat them just like we treated children in the 1950s is not the appropriate response.
So Karen Weber Indoor came up with a different approach. Borrowing from her experience turning around schools in the city system as a principal, she is now the executive director of student support and safety. In this position for only a year, she decided to focus on what she calls school climate. Change the perception, feel, and environment of a school, change behavior. A core element of this approach is no longer just teaching the material, but training teachers to relate with the students.
As we saw the suspension numbers begin to creep up, we realized that we had to do some different messaging to the adults in the building because we're the ones who are in control of what happens in the environment. And as soon as we give that control over to children, well, you've got a problem.
It's a problem experts we spoke to say is nationwide and by no means unique to Baltimore City. But Weber Indoor's approach is, already having worked with 32 schools last summer and is set to work with 32 more this year. Her confidence buoyed by already beginning to see what she called a drastic decrease in suspensions in that pilot group of schools.
So the messages can be articulated to the adults, and adults can be coached in how to have relationships with children. And that's what we're doing as a district.
The results of which are beginning to garner attention from other school districts around the country, but an impact for some here at home that cannot come soon enough.
I feel that in the long run, I don't know how much longer I can be a teacher.
But Jeffrey Slattery doesn't want to quit. He went back to teaching in the city school system just this year. Now diagnosed with a moderate form of post-traumatic stress disorder because of his attack, it is a struggle.
There are days I just shut the lights off, lock my door if I don't have any immediate obligations like a parent conference or a team meeting or something of that nature. And I just sit in my office and I just weep, praying to God that I have the strength to go through the rest of the afternoon. You know, and by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. I have nothing left to give anybody.
I'm not going to sugarcoat my reaction to this. That sounds horrible.
Oh, it is. It's not an easy life. But the thing is,
Why do it?
Because I love what I do.
A dedication to his profession and his students, in spite of being on the severe end of a troubling statistic. In Baltimore, Brian Kubler, ABC 2 News.
Now, the U.S. Department of Education tracks attacks on teachers, and according to its most recent data from 2007-2008, Maryland teachers were attacked more often than in any other state.
Whoa. Well, not every state defines assault the same. And
teacher resigns after saying she suffered. Green Bay middle school teacher resigns after saying she suffered abuse on the job. She made the announcement at a school board meeting recounting alleged physical, mental, and verbal abuse and accusing school administrators for failing to act. NBC 26's Eric Crest is live tonight at Washington Middle School with more.
Miss Westcott worked here at Washington Middle School for 9 years. Now, earlier this month, she testified in front of the school board, telling them that she chose this school because she wanted to work with at-risk youth, adding that she called it her calling in life, what she was made to do. But she says that over the last 5 years, this year in particular, the school has been headed in a downward spiral. Westcott claims colleagues and her fear for their and their students' safety every single day. She says teachers are called vile things daily, students are robbed, and staff has even been sent to the hospital on the account of fights breaking out here. Now, Westcott says she had to resign because she wouldn't survive another year here.
One of my colleagues has headaches every single weekday and is taking medication. Another one wakes up with cold night sweats several times a week. One had nightmares for days after being threatened by an aggressive student. Just a couple weeks ago, a teacher was taken away in an ambulance with a bleeding head wound caused by a fight among 3 students.
Now, the reason that Westcott says that she spoke out at that board meeting earlier this month was for all the teachers and students that remain here. Now, what she hopes is that administration and the school board will try to take a larger role in making the school safe. Keeping you connected in Green Bay, I'm Eric Crest with NBC 26.
Green Bay School Superintendent Michelle Langenfeld responding to the accusation, saying, quote, I also visited Washington Middle School 2 other times in May, and at those times, I did not witness behaviors that would have raised concern. So it is with deep sadness that Kirsten had not shared her concerns with me prior to her resignation in June.
Look, if you're going to make me run around all over Tarnation and back digging up these old videos, I'm happy to do it if I think it's going to help the rest of the people who view this channel along. But listen, at least get something out of it for yourself. If your friend says that video doesn't exist, would you please let me know you've made a wager on it on some level? Bet her $5, bet her $10, make her wash your car, make her do your dishes. Something like that. Please, put something on it. Don't let these people just walk around not being in denial, deceit, and delusion without paying some price for it, however small, however large. Because winning bets and connecting dots about this enormous amount of black violence in schools directed at teachers, students, neighbors, staff, administrators, lunchroom people, janitors, you name it, security people. Oh, yeah, resource officers. Yeah, that pretty much makes the black kids angry.